determine the speed of the breath. Partly it's going to be based on your mood or your feeling at the time. It's going to be based on what the posture is demanding. The point is that the breath is breathable, that it's varying. Like Guruji, he said that the breath was a medium breath, which meant that it's not too long and it's not too short. And so it's not like your best pranayama, each vinyasa position. If that was the case, then it would take too long and it would just become somehow forced or unnatural.
Like upward dog. I can never keep inhaling all the way through my upward dog. It's like something is going to get cut short, either my upward dog or my inhale.
Well, then in that case you have to take an extra breath. Like you'll let out a little bit and then bring in more to finish out your position.
But should I be trying to work on that?
Yeah.
On extending it?
Yeah, on being able to extend it. And then also the reverse, that sometimes maybe the upward dog will go faster. Or the gesture that you create going into it, you'll have to have a different feeling about it that has a little more speed to it. The breath, it's amazing how receptivity and breath are connected. What I see happen frequently is a sort of mechanical breathing, like that's very regular. It just doesn't vary. You know, it's just so, it becomes very, very automatic, and from the outside it seems like at those times there's no space in there. There's no letting it in. And so that's why I'm into the varying of the breath, that it won't be so mechanically regular, so metronomic. And so it will mean that upward dog is not exactly the same every time. And that the receptivity comes, there's times when there's no breath. So what? So when you come to the peak of upward dog, you're out of breath, then don't breathe for a little moment sometimes and see what happens. Or exhale and then again inhale. What naturally wants to happen with the breathing. And then also you have to be able to kind of, like I said, the rhythm of the practice, it does kind of have the potential to go into mechanical, into like a sort of automatic driving that it's like you're being driven without even noticing. And you have to kind of break that rhythm sometimes on purpose by stopping or slowing the breath down or kind of checking the rhythm. And you do that by, like, for instance, in downward dog, where you really let yourself settle there and let the breath sort of, I don't know, open more. It's an opening, a checking of the rhythm that changes it. And it's kind of a little bit hard to teach, but really important to grok. On purpose, I will vary the rhythm of my breath so that I don't go on automatic and that my mind doesn't race with it. So that it's like all of a sudden there's a different rhythm, and then that different rhythm it makes a difference in the consciousness. It goes, that I'm here inside this body now. And that was the point all along of this, right? But this can actually get lost. You can lose that whole feeling of awareness because it becomes so automatic.
Right.
Right? So, and then it'll happen if you decide, okay, well now I'm going to speed it up and go more fast. But then that will also need to be like reset or checked or zeroed to continue orienting in awareness. Yoga is a kind of what I think of as a invocation, or like a conjuring. And so you're like purposely doing these things to look inside, but and this is a familiar theme that I talk about, but it's unpleasant a lot of the time to look inside. So it's very natural that there's going to be avoidance of that and resistance to it. And so it is contradictory that you would like go through all that trouble of, all the preparation it took to get to your mat and then to do those things each day, but at the very moment when the real thing is supposed to be happening, you're shutting it out with the most basic thing, which is the breathing. Like the breathing is actually the way you're going about breathing, and it's not a you, it's a we. We all do it. That we keep ourselves out of that invocation, that inwards looking, and by the most basic things, like just not letting ourselves breathe, like really, and feel our body and our mental state and the state of awareness that we happen to be in at any time. And so that's just something to point out, that you have to let yourself in with your breathing. That's what receptivity is, and that's what will kind of lead the speed or the length of your breath or the other qualities that you're wondering about or working with. If you really follow it through, there's certain times when if you really become receptive and work with breathing, you'll stop for that day. You won't end up actually doing the whole practice because of where it led you. I mean, and some days you will, but you'll have to be way more open to what can happen. And to me, that's a positive thing over the course of decades of study. It's like driving through our theme of A to Z every single day, of every single month, of every single year, is just not realistic or desired. And so there has to be some give in it and a lot of openness to what each day's practice is going to bring.